I'm Eric. I'm in Mather House, concentrating in chemical and physical biology, and I'll be starting at the Cornell, Rockefeller, Sloan Kettering Tri-Institutional MD PhD program in July.
Hi everyone, my name is Kay. I am in Leverett House. I am studying neurobiology, and I will be going to Stanford for its MD PhD program.
I'm Jonathan. I'm also in Mather House like Eric. I studied chemical and physical biology with computer science, and I'll be matriculating at Stanford's MD PhD program.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Mosca. I'm a senior in Lowell House. I will be going to the University of Oxford for a master's degree program for next year, and then the year after that I'll matriculate to Columbia College of Physicians and Surgeons.
So Kay and Eric and I, in addition to applying to regular medical school, also applied to MD PhD programs throughout the country. And MD PhD programs, unlike normal medical school, is a 6 to 8 year program, which involves both medical training and scientific training because you go on to get your PhD, and comes with a full scholarship as well as a stipend every year to the tune of about $700,000 to $800,000 over the 7 to 8 years. Swimming on this team for 4 years has just been an incredible privilege. It's such an amazing group of guys with a wide breadth of different talents and interests, and I've been incredibly blessed to get to know them and to get to swim with them in the pool and hang out with them outside of the pool. And my life has really been different both here and I think globally for the rest of my life because of the people that I've had a chance to swim with.
And an important part about being a member of a varsity team and growing throughout the 4 years is how much you learn that you can contribute to this part, both athletically and academically. You can help others on your team to perform better in the pool, and you can also help others as you did as a freshman. So a lot of us asked the upperclassmen when we were freshmen, we want to do medicine, what are the classes, what concentrations are you doing? And we have 3 science majors, and I'm a non-science major. I'm history of science, and when I came as a freshman, there was somebody in history of science. So giving back throughout those 4 years and showing, you realize that being a part of a team is not just that, the being in the pool and working hard and growing as athletes. You grow as people too, and you learn to give back, which I think is a great part.
I think the beauty of being on HMSD is that it gives you sort of a built-in family to a certain sense. Like, everyone who's on this team cares about you. You're surrounded by people who not only care about you but also set fantastic examples. So if you at every point you're struggling for some reason, you can turn to your left or to your right, and you have 2 people, if not many, many more, who will be willing to help you in any way they can. And I think the value of being on this team is that you will never be alone in that sense.
Looking back on my years here at Harvard, as I think about actually leaving, I think the thing that I miss the most is actually the team. And all of the people that are on it, having been on the team for 4 years now, the different years are starting to run together, and I just think of the people who graduated before me and the people who will graduate soon. All just one group of almost brothers, basically. And I don't think of them as, they graduated this year or this year or this year. They're all there. They're all friends, and I know that I can rely on them anytime in the future, no matter where life will take us.
I think there's a great range of learning processes and curves for everybody. Me personally, I'm definitely somebody who studies best on his own, but the resources that you have as being a varsity team is, every class that you're interested in, if somebody's taken it before, and they give you so much insight into how to study. And the great part of being a team is a lot of us do take the same classes, and we do stay together. If we make a study guide, we might break up parts of the class. We're like, you do these readings, I'll do these, and we all come together and learn. But I think the important part about balancing academics with athletics is it's a learning process, and you learn from the older people of the team, and you have to learn yourself. How do I learn? And there's such a great variety of learners and people doing different concentrations and majors that you can learn from each other. And I think that's the best way to tackle being a varsity athlete, is to just see what other people are doing and see what works for you.
I mean, it's certainly a challenge to try to get up at 6 a.m. and swim and go back to the pool later that afternoon while still trying to balance your schoolwork and your sections and your labs and everything else and doing independent research and everything beyond that. But it's one of those things that's so unique to this place is that you really can do both. And that though you may sleep a little bit less than some of your non-athlete friends, or you have to be much more intentional about how you do your P-sets or when you go to lab, knowing that you have a group of people to back you up. Kay and Eric and I have spent a lot of time over the last couple of years because the three of us have also done a lot of independent research in lab and things like that and studied together on P-sets. Knowing that there's other people who are kind of going through the same thing is really helpful. And it makes the whole experience both in and out of the pool so much more valuable.
Definitely. Like, spending 20 hours a week on a varsity team and combining that with the challenges and the rigors of Harvard academics is definitely not easy. But I think it's something to be said about this place, that I think it almost selects. The people who join this team are people who want to do more than just average. Like, everyone on this team is shooting to be the best. And the nice thing about being part of this team and being able to having this team as a backup is that everyone around you will help you do the best you can be and will teach you how to balance academics and athletics better. And every time you run into a problem, as I touched before, the people on the team will help pick you back up and like make everything sort of easier for you and sort of remove as many challenges as possible.
Again, it's not easy. You can't just waltz your way into this, but it really all it takes is a lot of planning, a lot of hard work. Nothing really magical or truly ridiculous. And something that I think that I'd like to touch on is that the institution itself is really supportive of what we do. So the faculty and the coaches have always been immensely helpful in helping me work things out, because there will inevitably be a conflict, and that flexibility that they give us is amazing and really works wonders in making all of this possible.
And to come off what Eric was saying, especially as the non-science major in this pre-med or medicine graduating quad over here, we all have discussion sections because all of us take a wide breadth of classes, but a large part, I'd say half of my college experience has been classes where discussion sections are required. Most science classes, they're not required, and as you go to meets every weekend and when you go to IVs and NCAAs, you're going to miss a lot of discussion sections, and not the majority, but enough to raise red flags if you aren't proactive about it. And I think that's the most important thing that I've learned by being a member of this team, is that being proactive and going to your professor at the beginning of the school year saying, hey, I want to do well in this class, I'm going to do well, but I'm going to miss this day, and this day. Let's say you miss 3 out of 9 sections. I think that's usually the number of sections you have in a semester. That's a big chunk of sections, but if you tell them outright that I'm willing to write a 2-page paper on the readings that week, that proactiveness really allows you to grow as a person and to show that you can do both. Missing the class, although hurts because you're going to have to make up more work. If it was an hour lecture that you missed, you have to spend 3 hours learning it yourself, although a lot of lectures are recorded, some are not. So these sorts of proactive measures, maybe the teacher is willing to give you their personal notes, which have happened a lot of times in classes where they aren't recorded. So proactiveness is good.
Something else is we're not alone. Harvard has, I think, the most athletic teams of any NC2A school, and as a result, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's more than 30% of the entire student body is on some sort of varsity athletic team. So the faculty are used to dealing with this. It's not a hugely exceptional thing, and they get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And kind of from the opposite perspective, I've never had a coach that is as supportive or accepting of what goes on outside of the pool as Kevin. I showed up before I was even a student here, and what Kevin told me in that first meeting when I was a junior in high school still really rings true to this day, is that what this team does is it's really successful in the pool, but it's also really successful out of the pool, because in the end, the whole goal of this program is to turn boys into men and to develop us as a whole person. And you know, if you're having a tough week and you've been up until 2 a.m. and you haven't finished the paper yet, you might expect that the swim coach would get upset with you because you're not going to be doing very well in practice that morning, or you might even have to miss the practice. But Kevin has actually told me that I should miss practice, and I should, Jonathan, you should not come to practice, on Thursday this week because you're not going to do a good job because you're working too hard outside of the pool. And the fact that he's okay with that, and the fact that he helps us learn how to work around that and support that has been such a immensely important part of my experience here.
And he also recognizes, Kevin, our coach, that being smarter in school and doing better in the academics makes us better swimmers, makes us smarter swimmers. And that all around, not only does that make us better athletes, but it also, as Jonathan was saying, makes us better humans. So it's very important.
Really, you get out of it what you put into it. I know that's a very cliche sort of phrase, but when you come in as a freshman, the amount that you prepare yourself for that first year where that transition is very big for a lot of us. I went to boarding school, so living by myself wasn't a big deal, but for a lot of people, it's a brand new experience. You don't have somebody over your shoulders at all when you come here. Nobody's saying do your homework except when you're in class. And when you come and you have 42 other people that are there to want to see you succeed genuinely and aren't competing against you, it's such an environment where, if you extend yourself as a freshman saying, hey, I want to do X major, what do you guys think? How do I do it? You feel in that moment, wow, look at all the support I have. And then as a junior and as a senior, when you see that on the email list or in the locker room, you have this feeling of I should give back, and everyone really does, and it's a great learning experience to show that you can take and give, and everyone will succeed.
I walk out of this school and out of this program a completely different person than when I entered. And that's kind of scary to think about, is how much I've grown and how much I've changed, and how little of that is really due to me. I leave the school with a tremendous group of friends in the pool, out of the pool. I leave it with an amazing set of mentors in Kevin, in several of my professors, in some of the alumni that I've met along the way. I walk out of the school with a tremendously larger knowledge base. I could not even start listing off all of that I've learned in class, out of class, through extracurriculars, through everything else, but also kind of more just as a person, as learning through swimming and through hard work and everything else, how to deal with setbacks, how to deal with success, how to deal with failure, how to be as I just mentioned a moment ago, how to, like Kevin said, how to become a man instead of a boy, when I entered this program.
I couldn't say it better myself. I would add to what Jonathan just said, is I think one of the great things that Harvard and HMSD gives you is that when you come in your freshman year, your goals are usually either to maybe long-term finish college or do better in the next meet or things like that. But when you reach senior year and you've had these 4 years under your belt, all of a sudden you realize that your goals are limitless. Like I find myself thinking that I can literally do anything. I could take any challenge given to me, and I could not only just accomplish it and get over it, but just completely surpass any expectations. And I think one of the best things about Harvard and about this team is that it sets expectations really high, and that it gives you the means by which to meet those expectations. So I actually have a very good idea about the Alumni Network due to the fact with my involvement with the Athlete Medical Mentorship Program, which is actually a fantastic program that the Harvard Varsity Club offers, that actually exists to connect current varsity athletes, swimmers and any other Harvard athlete, with doctors and people in the field of medicine and research out in the world who came through the Harvard Varsity Program. And just going through this program and sort of talking with all these doctors and realizing that there's literally Harvard alumni in specifically medicine in virtually every state throughout the US and actually many countries around the world is both a very inspiring thing, and just it gives you a sense of awe about the reach of this program. And the nice thing is also just by shadowing, for example, I managed to shadow a doctor named Dr. Krinsky out in California, and he played on the football team here. And he was really cool. And not only did he let me sort of scrub into his surgeries and see him work with patients, but I remember the first thing when I met him, he goes over, I don't know, he must be like 70 now. So he's a little bit on the older side, but he runs over to his desk. He opens out his desk, and in his desk is a little box, which is very nicely kept. And he opens it up, and he has his Ivy championship ring. And I was like, wow, like this guy, the first thing he thinks to show me is just like, you are on a Harvard varsity team, you've been through the experience, you will understand what this means. And I think seeing doctors out in the field who have had the same experiences as us is something very valuable. And I'm very grateful to Harvard for providing me with the ability to connect with all these people.